Let's switch over to the Twitch viewership thing because I want to get Devin involved with some of this. So, Devin, can you describe the Twitch view botting scandal that, as far as I'm aware, is still happening despite the announcements? So what is the status of Twitch as a platform these days? Because the view botting is rampant among creators. We'll talk about instances how I know, especially with Overwatch League, that esports orgs have also, and tournaments have also been view botting. And what is Twitch's response to the view botting that is being alleged, and how is it affecting the platform? Because, you know, this for you, those guys who are unaware, like the view botting, people do it to boost their rank on Twitch because there's no natural discovery besides like who's on top or who has more viewers when you open the category on the platform. But the problem is, and Devin was in sales for advertising, this fucking creates an insane amount of noise for advertisers because they can't know what's real on the platform. So it makes it very hard to spend. So what is the status of the view botting, Devin? How are people doing this?
Okay, so hopefully not too long of an answer, but basically
as long as you need, brother.
Yeah,
this is the spot for that.
And also, technically, people can go watch a YouTube video for any extra details. So just
that's a good point. I don't even know if I have a YouTube video on this actually, because this kind of happened
you did one 2 months ago, didn't you? Didn't you do one like the
I did a long thread kind of like on Twitter, so I guess that would be worth reading if people are really interested in this. And so like the kind of TLDR is like for the last, so I started in the esports world, I went into the talent agency world, and now I'm in the brand world, which kind of means that I'm kind of in the back end. But over the last like 2 or 3 years, I've, on behalf of brands, I've been spending literally millions of dollars a year in advertising. And so a good portion of that was on Twitch. And what we noticed around like 2023 was like the return on advertising spend. It's called ROAS. Basically, what do you kind of get back in terms of like what you're spending on your brands for Twitch was like really abnormally low. And like compared to every other website we're spending on YouTube, TikTok, and like Instagram everywhere. And I was like, okay, well, why is this? And we had a technology we were using that for like our major brands where we would capture what is happening in Twitch chat. We just to get sentiment analysis and all kinds of cool stuff like that. And we're like, okay, why don't we repurpose this and figure out like what's going on? So we tossed the bot that we were using in the top 15,000 streams of Twitch, and we started just running it and seeing what was happening for about from about 2023 to like the end of like Q3 2025. And we noticed that the IVS rates, so invalid traffic, IVT rates, like are way higher. Like typically on like Google, you would get like 10, 11% IVT, you know, and the IVTs on Twitch are, so I'll give you the actual numbers, are as of right now,
39.6%
on Twitch. What
you're saying is 40% of viewers are bots.
40% of viewers are not real in some way. They're not human. They're either bots or they're embeds or they're kicked off from another website or they're not logged in or they're not active users. But 39.6% of, and I have to be really careful, so I'm going to say allegedly, but as a guy that has spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, these are advertised impression views. I've had that fight with some of the Twitch guys on X. They're saying that these views don't get pushed to advertisers. It is my strong belief, based on a lot of the work I've done, that they do get pushed to advertisers. So I think that 39% IVT is really high. Then we got
hold up.
I got challenged on this a bunch.
About Twitch knowing this, just give me one moment. So Twitch, for you guys, they didn't know, they bought the Curse Network, and then the Curse Network would have embeds of Twitch streams at the bottom, and Twitch themselves were selling people, especially like tournament organizers. They sold this to the Overwatch League, for example. They sold embeds at the bottom of Curse sites. Okay, so it's not just that Twitch knew and knows. It's that they were
themselves
selling.
offered the service. Yeah,
they were offering the service. So continue. I find it difficult to believe they would not know.
I think they do, and I think so. We got a lot of pushback on this. A secondary agency named Vadra, and they have an X post about this with their findings. Did a 50,000 person stream analysis with 4,500 creators and found within 0.2% are exact data, totally separate study, like just as legit as the one we ran. So they came up with 39.6% Twitch and 68.7% Kick. Kick is a whole nother conversation, but so anyway, like I think the thing that people listening to this would be interested in is, why is this happening? Is it just people that are view botting their own streams? Is it things like that? And the real answer, and something I've never heard discussed and I didn't put in my post, is that it's the agencies. So what's actually happening is that the people that are really smart in the talent management world and in the brand world have figured out that you can just you can push these views and not get policed. Twitch doesn't police any kind of view botting, and their justification for that is that you can't prove that it's the streamer that's doing it. Maybe it's like a malicious person that's doing it or something like that. And we could get in a long tangent about that. But because of that, agencies have realized, okay, I can bot a stream 30 to 40% viewership. I can then sell a sponsored deal against that for $2 to $3 CPM for those viewers, and I literally print money, and nobody enforces it, and nothing happens. So the major agencies that are at the top of Twitch right now are mostly view botting their top streamers, and so that is why sorry, real quick, an interesting stat: in the top 500 streams, 410 of them are view botted, not necessarily by the people that are the individuals, but in many cases they are, but by the agencies. That's the real story here.
Right.
Yeah. And the agencies, by the way, if they do this to their entire client base, so they have a lot of stable of streamers and they view bot them all, then they can sell blanket deals across all of their package deals with major blue chip advertisers.
And the hilarious thing, Monte, is that they're all doing this through AWS instances. They're just booting up AWS instances and duplicating the viewership in a hilarious circle jerk between the IVS and AWS. It's all coming back.
So Amazon makes money both ways, of course. So they're not going to.
The cost of hosting these bots and it's not insignificant. Like it's like several $1,000s a month, and that's why like a lot of the time people are like, oh, this like small guy is like view botting the stream for 2 years. Like probably not. Because they are quite expensive to run.
You made a point in your thread that I think is very pertinent here, because if someone's thinking, why the agent do it though? Wouldn't it make sense for the streamer? No, one point you made out from knowing agencies is because the agency does the brand deal. Yeah. You said that they'll do the brand deal. Then they'll like, essentially, the streamer doesn't know what the brand deal is. They then go to the streamer, and let's say it's a 10K deal. They go, great news, I've got you 5K a month. They just skimmed 5K straight off that. So they directly benefit from this viewpoint. It makes perfect sense why they would do it. Sadly, Devin, they're not policed.
And then they take 20%. So the deal they have officially with the streamer is the 20, right? So they say, hey, I take 20% of your revenue for every deal we bring, but then I bring you the 10K deal. I tell you it's 5. I take 20% of the 5, and then I take the 4 off the top or whatever
you have
it is.
To take back your costs for view botting first. That only makes sense.
Yeah. So
my
like
promotional fees have been deducted already.
It's really crazy because people that like people think that like the view botters are like a couple of the people like Kai Cenat, for example, who are like literally holding up the platform right now. Like they're very legitimate creators. And people are like, oh, that guy's like being view botted. But meanwhile, we've got like half of OTK view botting, and like nobody talks about it. Right? Like it's crazy. Like people, the way that people think view bot distribution works and like is like just follow the money. Like follow where the agencies are and who those people are supporting. And then you can just go on Twitch Tracker or something and look at like these people. Their viewership was like at most like 400, 500, 600 viewers, and like over the course of a month they just spiked to like 20, 30K. Like it's so obvious, right? But I don't know. Like
also the viewership. By the way,
the scary part of this. Oh, go on.
The viewership graphs are like with the view botting because they know nobody checks, so nobody even cares. So I mean, XQC has been pointing this out too, where it's like the viewership graph is like turn on stream goes to 20K, flat lines at 20K for 4 hours, turns off, which is not how any like if you streamed, as we all have, that's not how shit works. You turn it on and
every single game
goes up. Yeah.
So just chatting,
no matter
you can
no matter what you're using.
Final Fantasy X from 30 years ago, they're like rocking 25,000 viewers, no problem. Like just absolutely no variance in viewership. Yeah. And so here's the thing: it's like so advertisers like we're not stupid. Like we knew this, right? So I'm spending so Twitch is in a very interesting category because it's what we call an experimental budget. So if I have like let's say my average deal value is about $1.5 million in my agency, and so like when I'm running that, about 7% of that is going to be experimental budget, which just means like let's throw that at something we're not sure is going to work, and then see what happens. And maybe we'll get like a VC level ROAS and like it'll be super cool, like some 11-to-1 result, and like it'll be amazing. So Twitch is always our experimental budget. And like back when I started the agency in like 2022 or so, we were literally spending like 80-90% of our revenue on Twitch. By 2025, that was like less than 5%. But just because of the way the advertising model shifted, and like serious advertising agencies have all looked at Twitch now, and we've been through it. That's the thing, is like IPG, Omni, like all of the big advertising agencies and the people that I partner with, we've done Twitch. I think people don't realize this, that like Twitch and esports, you guys all will remember this, had this like new car smell where advertisers would come in and say, oh, what's this? Like, let's get a feel for this. Like, is this gonna work? This is kind of awesome. Well, we've tried it. Like, we've been at Twitch now for 5 or 6 years. We know the return on advertising spend there doesn't make sense, so we don't pay. And that is not even considering like the real story, which is the Twitch adpocalypse thing that like happened. That like for some reason, like I think that like when it happened to YouTube creators are kind of more tuned into the space and they kind of understand. No one like the Twitch streamers like have no idea like why their advertising revenue dropped 40-50% in the last like 3 or 4 months, right? And so I think this combination of things, the ad pressure and the Twitch view botting, just made the whole website kind of start like in a real death spiral. Like, I mean, it's losing like 10% viewership like over the last 6 months. Probably will lose like 15% viewership, this year.
I mean, the thing with Twitch is, it's like, by the way, I don't know how Dan Clancy still has a fucking job. It's actually insane to me. I can't think.
We can go through that.
I mean, no doubt we will touch on it
if you want.
But I can't think of like a CEO coming into an Amazon property, and it's like all the things that you know, all the metrics you would judge success by have all objectively gone backwards for Twitch, like number of active users, the view botting problem, attendees at TwitchCon, advertisers pulling out. Obviously, I did some reporting about that back when it was predicated on the anti-Semitism thing. Yeah, you
were like one of the really legit people. Just want to like give you a little bit there. Like, you were one of the really legit people in the Twitch ad thing. Like, you were one of the only people. I saw a bunch of people dogging you. I jumped on Twitter. I'm like, no, Richard like is one of the only people that knows what he's talking about here.
Well, what happened was, because it was all kind of like, so obviously like Dan Saltzman, like Destiny's colleague that, you know, he works with him on the podcasts and stuff. I think that's still true. I haven't
he dropped that because
okay.
But I have a video called "The Man at War with Twitch," and people don't realize that like Dan Saltzman kind of individually like destroyed such a huge percentage of Twitch's advertising budget. It's actually insane.
I have no doubt he made a dent, because when you know, when I was told, when I said, okay, Dan, you know, I've known Dan a while, I'll take a look at it. I reached out to a bunch of people in Twitch, and like the people I was talking to were like, oh yeah, this advertiser's pulled out, and people were saying, oh, Richard's just making it up, he's like friends with Destiny and blah blah.
They told me the exact same thing.
And then it was like, it was all vindicated, because I think Cecilia D'Anastasia did a report. I didn't name, because I was trying to protect sources, I didn't name some of the companies. I think I named exactly one company, and then that was verified by someone else's reporting, and then everyone was like, oh, well, they're saying it now, so it's like, no, I was right. And he definitely made a dent, and that was just predicated on the anti-Semitism stuff. Even Amazon got brought in over that. So there was that. That was before the view botting thing. Then we've had the TwitchCon issues. You've got the number one Twitch streamer on the platform is just literally running terrorist propaganda. You've got Congress, like members of Congress, like Richie Torres, writing letters saying we're going to haul you in front of a committee, which is happening. All these tech companies now are going to have to answer for like anti-Semitism and terrorist propaganda on their platform. And meanwhile, Dan Clancy is doing what exactly? Looking at fucking Kuma streams. It's
can I unpack this for a second?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like so, I think there's a big misunderstanding. So I worked at like with Twitch and Amazon sales team directly to like do advertising spend, and when I was in talent, I like never like made this connection, and then when I got to brand advertising, I was like, oh, like Twitch is not a social media platform as far as Amazon is concerned. What do I mean by that? So Twitch is actually a backbone for a system called IVS, which is a hosting service essentially for live streams. You can go see it. You can just type Amazon IVS, and what it is it's Twitch's backbone, advertised to mostly like churches and like people that want to run their own like live streaming service, and it's very successful, right? So the main group of people that run Twitch now, and it's worth noting to Richard's point that I think one thing that's another massive aspect of this is just the sheer number of layoffs that have happened within Twitch. In 2022, Twitch had 2,500 employees, but since then there was a 400-person layoff in 2023, another 400-person layoff in 2024. In October, just last month, they dropped 35% of their company. So who's left is mostly engineers. The partnerships team was 200 people, and now it's less than 10 now. Right. So what's happened is Twitch and Amazon views Twitch, I think, correctly. For if I think about Amazon's executives and like how they're thinking, they're not idiots. Like, right. They're viewing it as a sort of kind of live test for how live streaming platforms work for other people. And you can kind of go see what their technology is doing. And the whole acquisition was a technology play. They're doing it because they want it to work up on the back of QVS, which is their like live streaming service for shopping and that sort of thing. Amazon has no real interest beyond Prime Video as a social media platform. They don't care. They're a CPG brand. They sell stuff on they sell books. They sell cookies. They sell stuff, right? Like they don't care about. So like whenever everyone's like, oh, why is like Twitch not doing anything? Why is it not acting in the same way as like a platform like TikTok Live, which is like crushing it, or like YouTube, for example, right, which has significantly more market share than Twitch now? The answer is because Amazon doesn't monetize that way. They don't have an advertising network like Google does with AdSense. They're a engineering brand. So Dan Clancy is an engineer, and he's being evaluated on the basis of how well his technology is performing, which is the CDN is great. The CDN is great. The content delivery network is great. Like everything works, right? They added,
and it synergizes with their server.
Yes, and they're adding technology to it. If you look at all the changes within Twitch in the last couple of years, it's Twitch Rewind. It's stuff like that. It's all technology stuff, right? Like there's nothing for content creators because they don't care about the content creators.
Well,
like
they also fell really far behind on the algorithm. I mean, just our anecdotal.
There is no algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. Our anecdotal. Our anecdotal experience at LFN has been like, we don't care about Twitch because we don't run that many live shows.
There's no discovery.
But even when we do run live shows, most of our viewership's on YouTube now. Like that, I mean, that's just how it is.
The craziest thing I think I ever saw Dan say was like he came up at I think this was the 2 TwitchCons ago, or 1 TwitchCon before the last one, and he was like, we haven't updated our mobile app in 7 years. Just outright, do you remember that? Like he just outright said that on stage, and I was like, holy shit! Like that's like crazy, and it just like it's indicative of Twitch as a discovery platform, as a platform for like for live streaming, has been beaten out by TikTok Live, YouTube, which are I think people still remember a time when Twitch was 70% market share. It's 14.6% of the market according to Stream Charts today. So YouTube runs about 48%. TikTok runs about 31%, and Twitch runs about 14%, about 15%. So like the platform looks and feels to us with these big streamers like it's alive, but I mean it's a shadow of its former self.
Yeah, it's also the millennial platform. Like it's not Gen Z's platform, right? And a lot of the millennials, I would say, have aged out of watching game streams, at least live for the most part, or they switched over to YouTube because YouTube, I mean, but if once you get old, guys, you don't care about Twitch chat anymore, and YouTube is just a better streaming experience, just straight up.
It's just too hard to follow. Like the big a really big stat on Twitch that always stuck with me was the average watch time per user, which is around 108 minutes. So compare that to about 48 minutes for a YouTube person, meaning that like the dedication and the investment that you have to be a Twitch watcher is so dramatically larger than watching video on YouTube or being a part of TikTok. And that's why you kind of only produce these like very dedicated parasocial kind of sorts that will like really be oriented towards it. The other ones kind of, like you said, they age out. And so Twitch was never able to like break out of that. And to Richard's point, got just infinitely worse by platforming politics, man. Like that if you want to really just take it from the advertiser, if you want to really nail down why Twitch, I think, went south, it was the platform of extremist content. That made me as an advertiser and every brand I know say, we're good. Like we're out. Yeah. I don't want my brand friendliness is like, I know it's like memed in this. It's a real thing, right? Like we don't want our CPG brand to be alongside a talk about ISIS, even if the talk is negative or positive, just don't talk about it, right? Like,
and the old Michael Jordan thing, Republicans buy trainers too, right? You don't want to be a divisive figure.
Except that we don't want to sell ISIS trainers. we don't want to sell ISIS things. Do want to make that abundantly clear. And
I think the real conversation is like the big difference. People are like, well, the thing that everyone always says is like, well, YouTube has all that stuff. No, YouTube has ad segmentation. That is the huge difference. So if I advertise on Twitch, I am always advertising to the lowest common denominator streamer, the worst streamer on the website, because ads are distributed evenly. So what you can't distribute as an advertiser. We're white glove, so I have to contact Twitch. Good luck, and get a relationship with them to pay any kind of money for advertising. There's no system like AdSense where I can throw $500 or $500,000 and be done with it, right? So I have to white glove with them, and then my ad segmentation choices get displayed across the entire website. I can kind of tell them that I don't want like hot tub stuff, and they'll be kind of okay, but the ads will still sort of appear. So at the end of the day, if I'm Chase Bank and I advertise on YouTube, I can be very confident that the ads that I display will never be attached to extremist political content if I select that way. But on Twitch, it's guaranteed. That's the problem. There's no with ad segmentation, we would have been able to do this. You could have Hassan, you could have all the other guys, you could have everybody, right? But because Twitch never built that system, they had 7 years to do it. That is really the downfall of the website, and we can't advertise until they fix it. That's why I've said. And even like political commentators like Asmongold have said, like, we should make Twitch a gaming website. like go all the way back around, right? It's like a crazy take, but like my position is that's the only way to fix it. And if you want to ever get advertisers back,
I'm kind of conflicted on that, and I'll just give a bit of.
It's controversial, sure.
Yeah. No. But I have no doubt that you're right that it would fix it from an advertiser perspective and make it so we could make more money again on the platform. It would certainly fix a lot of the problems when it comes to moderation. Probably make everyone's life a little bit easier. I was one of the people back when me and Stephen were doing a podcast. He wanted to talk more and more about politics on that podcast. But I mean, I remember back in the days where the joke was the first politics channel on Twitch was the Hearthstone channel. Because the Hearthstone players would queue for so fucking long between games. Chat would ask them, hey, what about this? What about that? And they'd have all this time to talk. And people were like, wow, this is kind of cool. Getting like the opinions of like, Amaz or, whoever it might be. And so there was this appetite for it. And I was one of the people saying Twitch should be treated like public access television. Like any crazy kook can go on and have a show, and you get you've got your time, and you just talk about anything you want to talk about. Because we had all these insane rules. Like it was like there must be 1 hour of uninterrupted gameplay. You may take a break for 15 minutes and talk to your stream, but then you have to go back. You can't gamble on stream. Remember these rules, Devin. Like,
I got dinged because I was dancing on stream.
There you go.
I used to be a competitive dancer when I was way younger, and I would dance on stream for donations. This is.
Yeah.
It's not. The people are like, oh, well, you've gone so far. Not really. I'm still kind of dancing for donations at CLG in a different way, right? But the partnership manager. I got an email, Richard. Like they were like, hey, like you're dancing. Like you got to play games. That was actually real rule.
Have to play games. And so
the obvious topical tie-in here is that tweet everyone dunked on recently by Pokimane, where she was sort of like, why are we just doing like drama and stuff? Like, let's get back to games. It's like, have you even played a game in about 10 years? Like, you are like just chatting's fucking like poster girl. Like, what is this? Like, I agree. Like, the joke would be, Asmongold's nailed it, mate. He wants to just show World of Warcraft again, not fucking his next take on politics.
I think, by the way, Pokimane is like one of the best rage baiters right now, like out there. Like, she's so good at the end.
She's nailed the formula, dude. But here's the thing. Like, I'll also give the flip side to that coin. Like Asmongold is saying, let's make it a gamer platform again. And everyone's going, yeah, stunning and brave. he loses like half of his audience conservatively. Like I
Easily.
think a lot of people are there now to hear his takes on certain issues. One of the things I think is it's not so much politics that has become the problem. It has become this cyclone of bullshit that comes with it, which is if you have an audience that wants you to say things that they like to hear, there's always that temptation to just push it a little bit further. So, it's like, well, did you see that police officer involved shooting the other day? You look around. ACAB, they're all bastards, eh? Right? And then everyone in chat goes, the donations come in, the subs come in. There's a post like Hassan says fucking everyone's ACAP, using you as an example. Don't know if that's his real opinion, probably is, whatever. And then more and more people come into the stream. But then the problem with that is he hasn't said ACAB for a few days. Well, what's up with that? And then it's like, my favorite flag is the Hezbollah flag, and it keeps going and going and going and going till you get to and then people take a clip of that and then they react to it going, well, I think that's a disgrace. I think if Twitch had any sense, they'd ban Hassan. And then Hassan reacts to that clip. Suddenly you're 5 webcams deep in this fucking infinity chamber of webcams of people reacting to clips, more and more extreme opinions being voiced. And it's like, why the fuck would an advertiser go, that's exactly where I want to put my brand?
The entire system feeds itself. Everything, and there's so much incentive to just be a deliberate rage baiter. Just say the most extreme thing and get clipped for it. And like you know,
Devin, do you want to know something hilarious? I even think the people who accidentally pioneered this, they just weren't actually smart enough to intentionally rage bait. Were the Call of Duty influencers and players back in the day, 10 years ago? This was exactly the meta. They used to just make vlogs about each other and the drama, and everyone just ate. You just for a week, you would all just have a vlog back and forth. But the difference is they didn't do it intentionally. It was just the drama in their scene. But that's basically what Twitch is now, mate.
And exactly, and I'm fine with that. Like that's like we can totally have that, but we need either ad segmentation, put them in their category, put them in their box where they're yelling at each other, like YouTube has. Like, you want to go watch that content on YouTube, you can go over there. But I, as an advertiser, don't want to be a part of it. And the problem is, and the reason why I came down to we just need to be a gaming website was just I realized that Twitch, from an engineering perspective, will just never implement this. They will never add segmentation.
What's their motivation if they're just getting their lunch eaten by YouTube and TikTok and they don't fundamentally, Amazon doesn't care about Twitch as a platform because it has declining viewership and it's losing cultural relevance? Like, why would they do that?
Because it's an engineering solution. So the problem, Monte, is that because they're viewing Twitch as this IVS adjacent thing where they're not going to implement any solutions to actually fix the content. Right, because advertising is not what they're after with Twitch. They're not trying to monetize. They are right, but the other thing too is you look at a good place to go for this is just look at the Amazon public reports and how the executives talk about Twitch. Right, I wrote about this recently. In the last 5 or 6 years, Twitch has been mentioned in an earnings report 3 times. Yeah. And it's always as an adjacent to IVS as a live stream platform. It is never as a content or social platform. That to me is the key AAA indicator of how Amazon views the platform. So like you said, Monte, they have no incentive to update it. And so if they're not going to do that, then we might as well have a gaming website that still accomplishes the engineering goal of demonstrating what IVS is and get rid of all this bullshit. Otherwise, I think that the pressure that Richard was talking about with the congressional stuff will eventually reach Steve Boom, who oversees Twitch at Amazon, and he'll just be that's enough. We can demonstrate IVS via a video or something. We're not going to. And then it
is becoming, for lack of a better word, toxic over time, because now we have congressional committees who are talking about that's a big deal. Political streamers, and the platform itself has moved from, as we discussed, being a gaming first website into how much is just IRL at this point in time? How much of the viewership? 50%, probably
enormous
more?
percent. Yeah.
I mean,
most of the viewership.
I mean, remember as well, by the way, this is so that committee that they've been invited to testify at, right? It obviously includes Discord, Reddit, I think Steam might have been in it too. I don't think they're going to get Gabe Newell, but he did get deposed for a court case recently in Australia, so maybe. But you know, the reality is, like, it is specifically about online radicalization and its connection to violence. That's what it is specifically looking into. And it is going to be very, very hard when your number one Twitch streamer, the guy that the CEO personally champions, had his staff sing happy birthday to, like some fucking scene out of North Korea, all hail glorious leader. It's going to be very hard to argue that you take this matter seriously when we all know the number of violations that guy has. And he's not alone. I mean, like, you know, it certainly goes other ways. They definitely have had, you know, right-wing dudes say crazy shit as well. Had the fair share of that. And it's like, there's a number of people on the platform that are saying things and doing things and showing content that we all
You're not
know
even
is
bringing up
against
the live
rules.
streaming of shootings that have happened on Twitch, Richard.
I mean, listen, yeah, that's before you even get into that fucking can of worms. I mean, you know, but like, put it this way, I do always feel a little degree of sympathy if somebody does something unbelievably heinous and reprehensible and they use your platform to broadcast it. You know, maybe you can put some sort of safeguards, or maybe you should have reacted quicker. But I think ultimately your hands are tied. The sheer scale of these platforms and the fact that they're all geared towards like AI moderation now. They're laying people off specifically so they can focus on AI taking over these moderation jobs. I think, like, you know, that's something I'm like, because that happened. I remember Facebook getting pulled over for that, and a bunch of advertisers pulling out, saying it's unacceptable. It might have been over the Christchurch shooting.
It happens, yeah. But generally we come back real fast.
Yeah,
like it's where ultimately, man, like it comes down to ROAS. Like I hate to say it, but
Return
it's like,
on ad spend for those.
Yeah, it's just like, honestly, man, if I was getting a 10-to-1 return on Twitch, I would that'd be a bonkers return. And yeah, right. And I could throw, and I could, okay, well, you know, the YouTube Google AdSense average is 2.6. So let's say let's get a 4-to-1, right? Like, so get some crazy thing, right? And then I was getting a 4-to-1 on Twitch reliably. You know, like maybe a lot more of my brands would be like, yeah, that guy's kind of crazy, but we'll just ultimately it kind of comes down to like we don't like the political stuff, and we think it's and like without it we would probably just do standard game advertising spend, which, you know, comes down to like $6 to $9 CPM, and it's fine, right? But we advertise on games on YouTube all the time, and where you still see Twitch have strong support is in sponsored game advertising, because that's what works. But the funny thing is that Twitch doesn't get a cut of that usually, right? Because that money's sponsored directly through agencies to streamers. So like Twitch as an advertising company, if they had the return on advertising spend, we'd likely spend a lot more there. Since they don't, I mean, their advertising spend is so much less than YouTube, it's not even funny. Now we can add the political issues to it. It's just like Richard said, why would anybody advertise here?
How do you think it's going to affect the people that still want to advertise on Twitch when probably starting next year, Dan Clancy's going to be sat there wearing a hat and a cravat, right? And he's going to be shown clips of all the top streamers saying crazy shit about, you know,
I don't know who advertises on Twitch anymore. Like when I talk to my ad buyers, all of us are like really, like the real conversation is always around TikTok live, like TikTok shop and TikTok for business.
I have a naive question for you, Devin. As someone who I only know about advertising through like Monte and the odd thing on like my own YouTube. So what I would ask is this: as Monte said, our network is basically sponsored by podcast sponsors, and as you can imagine,
podcasts are great.
They don't use the exposure model, mate. Everything we do comes with a code, and so the advertiser can track. It's a campaign, basically.
Yeah, it's great. Podcasting is one of the most sophisticated advertising.
Listen, that part makes sense because that way we spent
so much money in podcasting.
Like, put it this way, it's no surprise to me when a company, you know, sponsors us 1 month, then 3 months later they come back. It means they got the ROI. It means once they checked out the campaign, it all made sense. Why is this somehow not part of how Twitch is done? Why is Twitch just you stream and then the network just puts it out? They have been moving TV back towards in the day. That. Why is that the model?
Like some of the podcast advertisers, so Factor, who's one of our sponsors, does do direct response, which are the ones with the codes on Twitch through like Stream Elements. So they have started doing that. but it's not as sophisticated at the moment.
Well, the real answer is because if you want to actually advertise through Twitch, like the proper way to do it without a direct sponsorship, you have to. It's really painstaking process. And I personally know of a company that was looking to spend $2.5 million on Twitch that could not get a email response from a salesperson. They directly emailed sales, and they had a $2.5 million budget. This is like a really well-known brand. And I can tell you guys who it is offline. They later just built their own Twitch channel and ran giveaways for like years, and like you guys would all know who this is, okay? And they couldn't spend $1 through Twitch's advertising. There have been so many times where I've been like ghosted by like doing white glove ads or everything like that. Also, the minimum to spend on Twitch. Now, keep in mind, you can run a Google AdSense account for like I think you can spend $5 on advertising. I think that's like possible, right? The minimum to spend on Twitch, I think I can't say the number, but like think like upper 6 digits, right? So like it is totally.
Is there actually a reason behind that though? Because again, I would get this, Devin, if the whole thing was like you said before. It's really just an advertisement for the streaming service and the technology, and there's only a skeleton crew. There's thousands of Twitch employees. Like that's the part I don't understand.
There's less than 500.
It was that part of it then, because that's what I don't get. How is someone not replying to that email? Remember, everyone else in esports bros dying to get a crumb of bread, and then they're turning money away. That sounds nuts.
The incompetence at Twitch is truly astounding to see, Thorin. Like, I think that they're very much a cultural problem. To the tune of what Richard was saying earlier about kind of Californian companies that are sort of like beanbag type of people, that is Twitch to a T. And I mean, like the average person, there are some good people at Twitch. I don't want to say, I know a lot of them, like I don't want to say they're all bad, but I would say a large number of them are, like less like in and out of the office, like COVID, like remote work culture, like 1 to 2 hours of like real work per day. Their sales teams are not like the crack hard. Like the problem is like we compare them to Amazon. Like Amazon's sales team is like Navy SEAL people, right? But they're not on Twitch. They're doing CPG sales. And so like the Twitch sales team is like, like the Jurassic Park meme where the bad flute plays like, and it's just like this like shitty dinosaur. Like that's like how it is compared to Amazon. That's what's really going on, right? I mean, it's just literal incompetence that email didn't get answered.
I appreciate your audience at least.
I do love that meme.
No, I think. I mean, look, I've heard similar stories. There's like I've heard similar stories. I mean, particularly as well with just even getting responses about what are Twitch's intentions like moving forward, right? A lot of people have tried to contact them. People I know, because when I was like reporting on this stuff, I talked to a few advertisers as well, or rather representatives of companies that it was their business to place ads with variety of platforms, Twitch being one of them. And they said like it was very hard to even sort of get any response about like intentions, So like we're not saying we're going to pull out, but we need to know a little bit about what's happening next while we make our decision. Zero communication.
Very little. We had a dedicated Twitch rep, and they were just like constantly confused. I felt that she was like actually fairly competent. But just the messaging from up high, like, I mean, she was like directly reporting to the CMO. The CMO didn't have like a very clear idea what's going on. She recently just left. The CMO just left like a couple weeks ago. Like we couldn't. That's the thing. Is like is like we would want like a solid answer on something where it's like, hey, we have like a $300,000 or $400,000 budget we want to spend here over the course of like 2 quarters. We want to make sure that like these KPIs are met, and that like our ads are not displayed on the, like this was during like the hot tub thing where it's like you've said on Twitter that we're not gonna get displayed next to like these hot tub streams. So you've segmented the category. Is that correct? And like wouldn't get a very clear answer. Well, if I spend that budget and then I have one instance of that happening, I as the brand manager, I'm right, like it's over, right? Because I, as the agency, am taking on the responsibility to spend the brand's money, and if I do that irresponsibly or that happens, that's on me. So that means if I have even one instance of that happening, I can't spend the whole budget. Okay, well then I pull the budget, And that's what happened over and over and over again. And then I talked to some of the guys that were the ad buyers for the bigger agencies than mine. It was the same story. It's like, well, we can't get a clear answer on that. I'm not gonna risk Campbell's Soup against an ad on one hot tub stream. All it takes is that, and now my entire agency is on fire. Like, there's no way, right?
Yeah.
More cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.